True leadership isn't about power, authority, or titles. It's about service. In The Servant, James C. Hunter redefines leadership as the art of influencing others through love, respect, and sacrifice. The story follows John Daly, a successful businessman whose life begins to fall apart, at work, at home, and within himself. Seeking answers, he attends a leadership retreat in a monastery, where he discovers that true strength begins with humility. John arrives at the monastery skeptical. He believes leadership means control, commanding respect through dominance. But his teacher, an old monk named Simeon, challenges everything he knows. Leadership, Simeon says, is not about being served, but serving others. It's about earning influence through character, not fear. John resists at first, but as the days unfold, he begins to see the flaws in his definition of success. Hunter uses this simple story to reveal a profound truth. Most leaders fail not because they lack knowledge, but because they lack self-mastery. The greatest challenge in leadership is not managing others, but managing one's own ego. Simeon teaches that authority built on love lasts. Authority built on control collapses. True leadership is influence, and influence is built through service. Through dialogue and reflection, the book exposes the difference between power and authority. Power forces compliance. Authority inspires commitment. Power is taken. Authority is earned. The monk reminds John that people may obey your orders, but they will only follow your example. Respect cannot be demanded. It must be deserved. Leadership, therefore, is not a position to occupy, but a responsibility to embody. At the heart of Simeon's lessons lies the concept of love, not emotion, but action. Love, as he defines it, means choosing what is right even when it's uncomfortable. It means putting the needs of others above your own convenience. Servant leadership, therefore, is not weakness, it's courage. It's the willingness to lead through integrity, empathy, and consistency, even when nobody is watching. John learns that leadership is a daily practice of humility. The monk teaches that humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Great leaders are not driven by ego, but by purpose. They don't seek to impress, they seek to impact. The more a leader focuses on serving others, the more loyalty and trust naturally grow. Influence becomes a reflection of character. Simeon introduces the group to a powerful model. Leadership flows from character. Character flows from values, and values flow from love. To lead effectively, one must cultivate patience, kindness, respect, and honesty. These are not business strategies, they are virtues. The foundation of leadership is not skill, but service. Every great organization begins with leaders who care more about people than performance. Hunter explains that servant leadership transforms both the leader and the follower. When people feel valued, they perform beyond expectation. When they are respected, they become responsible. Service inspires commitment far deeper than fear ever could. John realizes that his success had been built on authority, but never on connection. His team worked for him, but not with him. They obeyed, but they didn't believe. The monk teaches that trust is the currency of leadership. Without trust, every strategy fails. Trust is built through consistency. When words align with actions, leaders who promise but don't deliver erode credibility. But those who listen, empathize, and take responsibility build unshakable loyalty. The true test of a leader is not how they act when things go well, but how they respond when everything falls apart. John begins to confront his pride. He sees that leadership is not about status, but stewardship. It's about serving a purpose greater than yourself. The monk challenges him. Do you want to be admired or remembered? Admiration fades. Impact endures. Great leaders don't seek followers. They create more leaders. They measure success not by how many obey, but by how many they empower. Hunter's message resonates deeply in a world obsessed with control. He argues that fear-based leadership might achieve compliance, but it never earns devotion. Servant leadership, by contrast, transforms environments. It replaces competition with collaboration, manipulation with mentorship. It builds cultures of trust, where people choose to contribute because they feel valued, not coerced. Simeon's lessons echo timeless wisdom. Influence begins with self-discipline. Leaders cannot demand what they do not demonstrate. If you want others to act with integrity, you must model it first. If you expect commitment, you must show consistency. Leadership starts from within. The mirror, not the megaphone, is a leader's most powerful tool. As John practices humility, he discovers peace. The monk explains that leadership is spiritual work, not religious, but relational. It's about connecting with the humanity in others. The more a leader understands people's hearts, the more effective they become. Empathy turns authority into authenticity. Compassion turns hierarchy into harmony. Leadership, at its core, is love in action. Hunter dismantles the myth that servanthood and success are opposites. The greatest organizations, he argues, are led by those who serve first. Companies crumble when leaders chase profit and neglect purpose. But when leaders prioritize people, performance follows naturally. Service is not a distraction from results. It's the source of them. The best leaders grow others, not their egos. The monk challenges John to redefine love as behavior, not feeling. Love listens when it's inconvenient, forgives when it's undeserved, and respects even when it's unreturned. Servant leadership is not about perfection, but presence. Showing up with integrity, consistency, and care. It's about building people before projects. Great leaders plant trees whose shade they may never sit under. As the retreat progresses, John's perspective transforms. He begins to see leadership as a sacred trust. Every decision, every word, every act either builds or breaks others. The monk reminds him that influence carries moral weight. The question is never, how much power do I have? But, how can I use my power for good? The leader's legacy is measured in the lives they elevate. The climax of the story comes when John faces his old patterns. He realizes that leading through fear once made him efficient, but never effective. Efficiency moves tasks. Leadership moves hearts. Control might get results, but it kills creativity. Service, on the other hand, invites people to bring their best selves to the mission. True leadership multiplies potential, not pressure. Hunter shows that servant leadership is not theoretical. It's practical. It means greeting your team with respect, listening before reacting, apologizing when wrong, and celebrating others' success. These small acts create cultures that thrive. Leadership is not an event. It's a lifestyle. The daily choice to serve builds the trust that turns groups into communities. John returns home changed. His family notices first. Patience replaces anger. Empathy replaces pride. At work, he begins to listen more and command less. Slowly, his team starts responding not out of fear, but respect. Results improve not because he pushed harder, but because he connected deeper. Service, he learns, is contagious. By the end of the book, John understands what Simeon meant. Leadership is love made visible. Every act of service is a declaration of purpose. Every moment of humility builds invisible strength. Hunter's message is not about changing others, but transforming yourself. When you lead from the heart, influence follows naturally. Simeon E.'s final words to John summarize the essence of the book. The paradox of leadership is that to lead, you must serve. The higher you rise, the more people you lift. The moment leadership becomes about you, it stops being leadership. Greatness is not measured in followers, but in the lives bettered by your presence. In the modern world, Hunter's teachings are more urgent than ever. The crisis of leadership is a crisis of empathy. Organizations don't need more bosses, they need more servants. The future belongs to those who understand that love, respect, and humility are not soft skills. They are the strongest forces of influence ever known. John's story closes where it began, in silence. But now, that silence is peace. He no longer needs control to feel strong. He has discovered the secret every true leader knows. Serving others is the highest form of leadership. The servant does not lose power. He multiplies it. The servant reminds us that leadership is not about climbing ladders, but lifting others. The only authority worth having is the kind freely given through trust, respect, and love. Hunter leaves us with one enduring truth. Leadership is not a role. It's a relationship. And the greatest leaders are those who choose to serve.